Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Daily Word. It's Thursday, July 14th. Glad you could join me for our continued journey this week through our Daily Word and how it applies to us and as it continues to guide and direct our lives. So, thanks for being with me. It's a beautiful day out. Hope you're enjoying the beauty of today as we approach the midpoint of July already. And so, for today, I've chosen the words from the psalmist, Psalm 137. Specifically, we're going to talk a bit about the first verse, but this is a bigger kind of conversation that's happening here that I think is important for us to hear as we live our lives. And so from Psalm 137, we hear these words: By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, and there we wept when we remember Zion. On the willows there we hung up our harps, for there our captors asked us for songs, and our tormentors asked for mirth, saying, Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How can we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Let my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you. If I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy. Remember, O Lord, against the Edomites the day of Jerusalem's fall, how they said, tear it down, down to its foundations. O daughter Babylon, you devastator, happy shall they be who pay you back what you have done to us. Happy shall they be who take your little ones and dash them against the rock. So I've been thinking a lot this week about history, about the past. It's been interesting thinking about, where we've all been in life. We probably do this. We probably, if you're like me, you think about where you've been in life and those places that were most important in your life, and you probably lament those things. And sometimes, it's been said that you can be loneliest in a crowd of people. Even if you're around friends and family and coworkers, you can be lonely in a crowd. And I think that kind of loneliness speaks to the sense that there's something missing that you can't name. Now, for the psalmist, this opening verse, I think, says a lot to us. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, and there we wept, when we remembered Zion. Maybe for us, like the psalmist, it is Zion, it is that place that we're most lonely for. Maybe it is that place in our life that we know the best and that we long for it. Sometimes I think about, what I miss the most, and I've been looking at pictures. Carter and I have been looking at pictures on his iPad once in a while. We did that just Saturday, and a couple of years ago, we went on a vacation to North Carolina to the beach, and we had a great time. And Carter was pretty young, but he remembered, and we looked at those pictures of us being at the beach, and he said to me, Papa, that was a long way. And he remembered that being a long, long drive to get there and then, to get back home from there. We look at our lives and where we've been and all the things we have in our lives, and sometimes, we long to go back. You know, I long to go back to the days I could do what I wanted to do physically, mostly what I wanted to do. But there is this, reminder for us is that even in exile, as they were in this text, it is good for us to think about that even in exile, even in the most difficult, challenging, hardest parts of our lives, it is where God meets us when we sit on the bank, if you will, and we think about where God is with us and where God is leading us and guiding us. I've been working on a document that I'm going to publish on Monday, a reflection, and thinking about all the past. And I'm going to share that document on Monday. I'm about halfway done with it probably. But this text jumped out at me, when you think about where you've been. But then this reminder that this God that the people that the psalmist knew, the people of Israel knew when they're in captivity, is the God who restores them, brings them back, to a place where they're whole again. And for us, as we live our lives, I think that's one big challenge for us, that we understand that it's in the end, despite our best efforts and all we think we can do, it is God who leads us and restores us and heals us and moves us and shapes us and guides our future and calls us to what's next as we live our lives. I just finished August worship, and it seemed like man, I got to the end of August and boy, summer will be over. Thinking about what that means. But then this reminder, as I'm thinking about all the text and the good stories and the good scripture, of course it's all good, but the scriptures that we're going to talk about in the month of August, it's this reminder that it's God who guides and leads us along the way. And I think sometimes we just need to remember that as we live our lives, to know that it's God who leads us. But maybe, just maybe, once in a while, it's good for us to sit by the river of Babylon and to weep, knowing that God meets us there and God moves and restores us as we live our lives. And so I hope that for you and for me as we live, that we'll trust God with our future as we've trusted God with our past, knowing that God leads us and guides us along the way. So I just want to share this with you, put this out there a little bit ahead of time. I'm going to be on vacation. After Sunday, I'm going to be on vacation for a couple of weeks. And so there's not going to be a daily word probably for a couple of weeks. I'll see how that looks. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to be at the lake. But I'm going to take a little bit of a break just from all of this. So I'll let you know what that looks like moving forward and how long that's going to be. But just going to take a little bit of a break as I'm just spending some time at the lake and getting ready to gear up for what's next. So I hope you enjoy the beauty of this day. I hope that you'll know of God's presence that guides you and me as we live our lives into the future. Know of God's love that is abundant and surrounds you. And know of my love for you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day.